Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Roseville Wrecking Ball. The Roseville Wrecking Ball.
Joshua Shrum. He is a very talented steward, very knowledgeable.
The Roseville Wrecking Ball. This is one of those podcasts where I listen to every episode. I love what he's putting out there.
The Roseville Wrecking Ball. Josh Shrum.
Parcels of Knowledge. Does a fantastic job with that podcast.
The Roseville Wrecking Ball. He is an Article 8 scholar, and thank God. We need Article 8 scholars right now.
Tune into the Parcels of Knowledge podcast while you're on the route. That's the mailman's playbook, brother.
Good morning and welcome back to Parcels of Knowledge, the podcast dedicated to delivering knowledge to the city letter carrier with your host, the Roseville Wrecking Ball. Today I got a special guest on, the person we've been anticipating for this week. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, man, I appreciate it, Josh. My name is Chris Strickland. I'm a city letter carrier from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, branch 1096, and I am running for Region 8 National Business Agent.
All right, perfect. I got some listeners who have sent you in some questions, and we're just going to go down the list, no particular order. You recently did a nearly 3-hour Mic Drop Monday interview about your vision, leadership, philosophy, and priorities. After 3 hours, what did they still not ask you that you were hoping somebody would?
Wow, that's a pretty good question. Really, I don't know. I don't know. I felt seems like there's like 100,000 questions on that thing, so I feel like I pretty much answered everything. But I don't know. I don't know. There wasn't, as you can, like, for the people that heard that podcast, I guess I kind of ramble on off into different subjects sometimes when I had the one question, because I had a lot to say. So I wanted to make sure it got out there. So I feel pretty good about the message. I feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, I feel like it was probably pretty all-inclusive. By the way, I don't really fact check or ask follow-up questions. I know you haven't been on the show yet, so a lot of times I don't understand the intent of the questions, and I also don't ask follow-up ones. So I feel like you were pretty inclusive of how can you not be after 3 hours, I guess.
Yeah, you should pretty much know who I am after that, at least what I'm about.
Chris, long before you were filing class action grievances and fighting the national establishment, you spent 6 years in the Alabama Army National Guard. I have to know, how many weekends did you spend standing in formation at the W.W. Brandon Armory in Tuscaloosa, and how exactly did the military chain of command prepare you for the chaos of the USPS workroom floor?
That's a really good question. All right, so I signed up when I was 17. So I turned 17 in January of my junior year. So they actually allowed us to start attending drill weekends then. So it's once a month. First weekend of the month is when we did the drills. So that started when I was, I guess in 11th grade, like I said, and then did that all the way through until the reason I actually got out of the Guard. My intent was to stay in the Guard, but the reason I got out was because I accepted a job in Houston, Texas. This was back in 95, 94. I think 95, maybe 96. I don't know. I can't remember. And anyways, there was a job in Houston, Texas. I'm sure it's sleep studies and things like that is kind of popular now, or people are more aware of it, or it's more on the medical brain now than it used to be. But at the time, it was kind of a new venture for doctors. So we actually had a guy that I went to high school with. His name was also Chris, and he was in the Guard with me as well. And he was it's called a polysomnic graphic technician. PSGT is what it was. Is I don't know. They might have changed it now. But anyways, you didn't have to go to school. It was just hands on. So he was out in Houston, and he was the director of this thing because he had done it locally in Dothan, and it was really taken off. And offered me a position, and I mean, it was a good bit of money at that time. And then plus, once you get your I don't know, certification or whatever after like 18 months or something like that. You didn't have to go to school. It was more of a on the job training type deal. And so, anyways, all that to say, moved to Houston to that job, and I had to get out of the Guard. It was right there at the because I signed up for 6 plus 2 years optional, and so I had to kind of cancel out the last 18 months or whatever because I was in Houston. And anyways, it so that's the story on that. Didn't work out there. My wife at the time did not was not feeling Houston, so we came back. So to say all that, so I did that straight for 6 years. Then talking about going to the drill every weekend, and then after we came back from basic and AIT school, the next 2 summers, then the following 4 or 5 summers, I did the 2-week summer camp and everything with the Guard. Now, in standing in formation, that's if anybody's in the military, you're gonna stand up there for a while, man. And I ain't gonna lie, dude, I got a horrible story. I was standing up there in formation, and man, my knees got locked. And man, I fell out, and it was the most embarrassing thing that ever happened to me. I was just like, oh, this is terrible. But yeah, man, I fell out. But yeah, formation. How much fun is that? Standing at the parade rest there.
Now, did it prepare you for the USPS? Are they comparable at all?
Well, there's a lot of hurry up and wait. It's the government, at the end of the day. And then with, unfortunately, you do have a lot of people in positions of leadership that don't need to be. And, but, the military, it's more about seniority and who has the time and how fast you get promoted and a lot of who not for everybody, but general. And that's kind of seems like it's the way the way of all government jobs. So and particularly with what's going on here. So you start. I've been listening to I listen to a lot of music. So I've been on this Lil Wayne kick right now. So he's got this his new album out. It's he's got a song with Jelly Roll, and it's called Sharks and Snakes. So I would advise everybody to go out there and listen to that. It's pretty good. So
okay. I think he says that right. Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's John, but yeah, I got you.
Oh shit! I got the wrong one.
South, homie, you way up there. You.
Yeah. Man, I messed up on that one. All right, so that's why I shouldn't do the follow-ups. You graduated from Leadership Academy, class 20. I don't know how accurate this is, but yours wasn't just any ceremony. It was the official final act of NALC Executive Vice President Jim Williams before he retired. He gave a speech that day where he said the great success of the Academy wasn't people becoming NVAs, but people plugging away every day at the branch level because they managed to combine their head and their heart. After everything that happened between you and the current NBA, do you think the National Union has lost that balance of head and heart?
100%. Yeah, 100%. I think that I don't know. It feels like that's where there's been this. You have the old heads and the new heads and the younger heads, I guess you can say, coming all up, right? So a vast majority of the old heads did not like the Leadership Academy and still really don't like it. They just kind of put up with it. And because it's this old mentality, well, that ain't the way I did it. That ain't the way I came up. And it's I don't know if it's jealousy, envy, frustration, disappointment. I don't know what's in their heart. I can't speak for that. But it is what it is. I mean, why would you hate something that is providing this opportunity for people that would have no no ability at all to ever be seen by anybody at the national level. That's something that's nice about the Leadership Academy. But it's also nice, like what you just quoted Jim from saying in that speech, that, and this is why some of the old heads don't like it, is because there's this mentality that, oh, okay, well, you go to Leadership Academy, now all of a sudden I'm going to be the next MBA, I'm going to be the next this, and I'm going to be the next national officer, which is obviously not true for the vast majority of people. And my experience at the Leadership Academy was not only my class, but looking at all the other classes, is there's a tremendous amount of people that go, and that's their mindset, and you weed those people out. It's pretty easy to see them, after the second or third week, and then they take care of themselves in most instances. And then when they get back and they don't get what they want, then they're dipping out into management or doing this and that. And I think that's how the old heads view the whole process. And every time one of them, a former leadership person, does something like go into management or whatever, that's how they pat themselves on the back and say, "See, this is what I'm talking about right there." And I think that's a tragedy. But I
You
don't
know,
know. There's a question there.
you know what's crazy? I had a very similar experience. I know I don't normally interject, but I just want to put this out there. It's crazy the parallels between the different unions, because I used to be a part of a different union. I was a steward for 10 years before I came here. And I was part of a similar program. They called it the Gold Internship. It was the international UFCW's program. And in fact, the old heads there actually got their way because they were tired of the people getting trained to be organizers or this or that and coming back. And now that they have knowledge, they want to do something with it. And they felt like this whole thing that they were doing was just training their replacements. So
Yeah.
they didn't like it either.
Yeah. That's a good point, Josh, is because I think that's part of the issue is, we're trying, and they teach us this at leadership, is you should be training the next generation. That's literally your goal. You want to pay it forward. You want these people to come up. And, we have branches where there's branch presidents that refuse to allow anybody to learn how to be shop stewards and to do stuff. And, when they get to a certain age and they're dipping out, well, now we're going to have a whole branch that we're going to have to jump in and really start from scratch. And that on a broader scale is could happen really anywhere. Even the NBA, it's happening. I would say, we got some people up there at headquarters that are not ready for prime time, to quote the old Saturday Night Live. And I think this is what's happening. And I think that's why there's so much division right now, which again goes back to, you can look at both sides of this as I just said, because one, you got somebody that's coming up, you're bringing them up. We want to bring these young people up. And I'm talking specifically about Brian, and he did a wonderful job as all the way up through. But it's like at some point, somebody didn't notice that he didn't have any kind of leadership qualities or really any kind of, I don't know, common man. He's not relatable.
He's a post turtle.
He's a what?
You never heard that term, post turtle?
No,
Oh, that's okay. Corey Walton describes it best. So I'll get you that episode he talks about that.
I like Corey. I shoot him a text, man. What the hell's a post turtle, man? He's coming up with shit. Let me tell you a
Yeah.
funny story about Corey when he first started this podcast, his podcast, the from A to Arbitration podcast. Man, I was all on that thing, man. I love that thing when it first started. And so I told him, I said, man, this is what I would like for you to do. I want to text you like some random, obscure, ridiculous word. And somehow during the podcast, I want you to incorporate this word into, your teachings or your talk or what have you. And so I'd find a word and I'd screenshot it and, with the definition so they know what the hell he's talking about. And it was one of the funnest things to do is to listen to the pod. Yeah, this is the early days, and to listen to the podcast and then see how he's going to fit that word in. And then he would say the word, and then he would do the pat, and then Corey laugh, and you're like, oh, okay, well, there it is. But anyways, that's. But I got to get up on the post turtle.
Yeah. I'll send that episode to you. Let's
Cool.
see. In November of 2018, again, I didn't fact check this. I think somebody might know you or they might not know you well and think they know you. But in November 2018, right after you made RAA, Flo Jackson from your home branch 1096 landed a massive $36,000 customer connect lead from Vapor Smoke Shop in Tuscaloosa. You
Yeah.
were so proud you coined the catchphrase for the postal record: find the lead, submit the lead, follow up on the lead, and enjoy the lead. With all the toxicity between carriers and management right now, and the pressure of 350 packages a day, is it even possible to get carriers to care about Customer Connect, or is that an era dead? And you said you were glad to congratulate her in front of your coworkers. Why does this public recognition matter in a union culture where carriers often only hear about what went wrong?
Ooh. I'll try for all that. Man, that's a fact. Somebody did some deep dive into some shit right there. Wow. Yeah. 2018. Yeah, it was one of my proud moments. I was a big proponent of Customer Connect back in the day. I thought that was a wonderful program. In typical post office fashion, they like to pound their chest and brag about this great program, but when the rubber meets the road, they don't follow up on leads, and it leads to a bad sour taste in everybody's mouth. And yeah, I, I'm trying not to. I got lots of horror stories on Customer Connect, so I'll stop there. Um, so yes, that's a very proud moment, and recognition is something that I feel is very valuable. And you're always going to have some pushback. There's always going to be somebody that goes, "Well, you're just coming down here with some pomp and circumstances, and it's no big deal. Why are you, doing this? I got to deliver my mail, whatever." But no, that's a proud moment. It encourages other people to do stuff. And when we were first putting in those Customer Connect, when we were showing up, we were also feeding the entire post office, carriers, clerks, and even the EAS. And I think it builds unity. It really helps bring this community back. And I think that's something else that's lost, because it's almost as if the post office is working for well, working for a board of directors, so to speak. I mean, at the end of the day, it is, but you understand what I'm saying. Because some kind of stock market strategy, right? It's like, well, we got to cut costs because we've got to get the shareholders their money. The shareholders got to get this, and they've done all this investment. So the way to be successful is to cut all these costs. Well, that's not really how we work, and we should be self-sufficient. But their inability to spend money correctly and appropriately in the right places, hence those six-figure $300,000 bonuses, the old PMG got caught up in it affects how the workroom floor and everything goes. So it's just like this NERC program. The program it could be very successful as long as you have people that are willing to put the time in. It's like with everything with the postal service, is they don't seem to understand that we're part of this job. You have got to work with us, and if you can't work with us, then it's always going to be an antagonistic relationship. So I don't know if that was. I know there was about 3 or 4 questions inside that, so I don't know if
Well,
that.
the one that hasn't been answered yet is: do you think it's still possible to make that a focus right now, with the way we're getting pressured to
Customer tech in general, yes. I mean, well, I'm saying yes as far as I understand the question. I got that last part. I don't think it's feasible. I don't think it's feasible to do Customer Connect, and I don't think that people are going to follow up properly. I think that from my experience, we have these sales. So I don't know if everybody knows all the deep dark secrets and all this stuff, but for whatever reason, the Postal Service hires professional salespeople that are not postal employees. So there's like a sales team, and they steal all the leads. And that was my experience. And so they would get all this credit, and we're sitting around like, hey, I've got you this $1 million account. 3 different times, and you never said anything. And we had an excellent guy. His name is Mike Riley. He was man, he's a father figure to me, not only for the post office or as a letter carrier, but also as a man. And he went on a detail to kind of be over the customer connect for the Alabama district, and was doing an outstanding job. Was within a pinch of cat shit of having the University of Alabama on board, but they wouldn't give him the complete time. And he started ruffling some feathers because he was a little successful, so they just pulled him. And then when they pulled him, UPS executives swooped on in and handled the University of Alabama account. So, I mean, could you imagine what kind of business we could have got if we could have got the university? So, I mean, that's just another perfect example, really, to kind of talk about what we talked about earlier, people feel threatened. And, if you feel threatened by something, then you should really probably look in the mirror. And because that's really about your own issues and not somebody else's. You should always want people to rise above. I mean, one of the proudest things that I could say, as far as a perfect example of bringing somebody up, is Jason Ashley. He started out in Tuscaloosa. Yeah, he started out in Tuscaloosa with me, and then he transferred over to Decatur. And anyways, he's his own man. It's not like I just gave him everything, but I'm just saying he's a perfect example of a mentor-mentee relationship that was very successful. And
Man, you went so lately. Everybody's been jumping to the next topic without even getting the questions ahead of time. Just let everyone know I didn't give them the questions, but Jason's in the next question. So, everyone thinks I give everyone the questions. I only do if they ask. You didn't ask for them, so I didn't give them to you. So, just to let everyone know, he didn't mention Jason on purpose.
Question. Let me ask a question. So I was thinking about this because that seems to have been a big issue with, I don't know. Well, I've been on 2 whole podcasts, so but I have heard continually, and I've listened to a couple since I've been doing this. So what are people's issues with someone getting questions beforehand? Would you want them to be prepared? I guess would be my thing. Is it more of a I gotcha, or you just want a natural, honest response?
Well, I can explain it. So
good.
I'm on the other team of, if it were me personally, I think that I would prefer to give them the questions ahead of time, because for me, what I would like this show to be is your opportunity to either sink or swim. I want to know everything that every candidate has to say about their topic, and that could give them the opportunity to either say something that is good, or they could say too much, and maybe they wouldn't have said that if they didn't come prepared, whether it worked out better or for the worse. It's just an opportunity to get to know somebody. So my personal opinion is I like them having the questions, but I can tell you this: vast majority of carriers, especially from my experience of listeners, they prefer your ability to be witty. They want you to know things on the spot. And I personally think you can test that out at any time. You can call the guy up and ask him a question on the spot, and you can tell whether or not he's very quick. But you don't always get the opportunity for them to explain themselves to the fullest extent. So I think that's my personal opinion. That's why I don't mind giving it to anybody who asks for them. But I don't do it by default because of the people who don't want me to.
Yeah, I was just curious. I'm not. This is all new to me, so I was just
Either way works for me. A lot of people know Corey Walton's voice from 8 Arbitration, and again, I don't know if this is true, but not everyone knows that episode 82, the foundational text on Article 8, was actually authored by you and Jason Ashley. When you guys were writing these training slides for Region 8, did you have any idea it would become a text for a podcast that is currently trying to overthrow the national establishment?
That sounds like a setup question. No, you have no idea. I've got a tremendous amount of training, and I try to keep it fresh every time. Like, I don't want to use the same thing from what I did the previous year. So I just try to keep, or we try to just keep it fresh and just keep going, updating it. And of course, I'm always, I'm just trying to figure out the right way to answer this question. So, speaking of witty and everything, all right. So the I love doing the training. I love creating that PowerPoints, and I believe I can speak for Jason on that too. He does as well. So, did we ever think that any of that stuff would lead to where we're at now? No. The answer is no. Is no, no, no. But it is. It's interesting how little seeds grow into big trees, and how all this kind of stuff materializes. And like, I think Jason even went on Corey's podcast a couple times, much to the chagrin of the machine, as I like to call him. And I remember thinking, I remember telling Corey, I was like, man, let me think about it. I want to see if I want to get on there. And then finally, I decided, I was like, you know what, I want to, I want to get on there. So, because we weren't told no, we couldn't be on there, but it was strongly suggested that for us not to be on the podcast. Is that
That's, a,
that's
that,
fair?
yeah, it covers it.
And so anyway, so I'm just saying, but the funny part of it is, when I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get on this thing, and I even called Corey. I was like, man, I think I'm ready. Let's get on here. Because I'm more of a conversationalist. I think in the early days of, I hadn't listened to it lately, but it was more of, somebody, you would just talk. And to me, that's not something that I'm good at. I'm more of a conversation, like what we're doing right now. So that was kind of the vision that I would have for a podcast. But anyways, it never materialized. And really, because the reason it didn't was because it was like the next episode or something is where Corey, that was when he, I guess, everything first started with the division. And I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's that.
What exactly broke the dynamic between you and Lassen and made you realize you had to run against him?
Well, what broke the dynamic was his decision not to really tell me the truth and to be honest with me, and with us, with the whole office. Everything was a big secret. And it's like, well, we're in this together. Let's figure this thing out. And, you have to look. This dude's been a career politician his whole life. He's been in that office for, what, almost 25 years, roughly. Maybe over 20 years, maybe 20 years. And I think that over time, when you're in that kind of office environment, and it goes again about what I was talking about in the last podcast, is you've lost connection with the workroom floor and with the people. Just calling somebody and mysteriously out of the blue and saying, "Hey, how you doing? Okay, all right. Well, just call me if you need some help." That's kind of the minimum effort possible that you could be giving. And so I'm a maximum effort guy, kind of like what's the superhero? What's his? I always want to say Daredevil, but it's not Daredevil. It's the other guy, Deadpool.
Oh yeah,
Effort. It's maximum effort, and so that would be nutshell version. But to give any kind of specific dates, I mean, things kind of slowly eroded over the past couple of years, and on his part, because it's like he just doesn't trust anyone. And again, I'm really not trying to bash, but I'm trying to answer this question as honestly as possible. And then just when we spoke last May, when I told him about when I wanted my intentions of running and all of that, I felt at that time he was being disingenuous with me. But it came to be true when I talked to him in March of this year, when he acted like the conversation never happened. And that was very disappointing, and that hurts you. But it's like with your friend or your relative or whatever. You still love them. You still, even though they're making decisions that aren't really you agree with, and it like you just kind of throw them away. but once all this happened and he, did the things he did, and they've been running around, and by they, I mean the machine, have been running around saying a lot of negative things about me personally. That hurts, and it's like, well, there's no need in it, and it goes back to, really, I guess the theme of this podcast is you're pushing people back that are trying to be successful and trying to lead forward. So,
Okay.
it's it's something you don't really want to talk about, or really
Yeah.
just kind of behind the curtains type thing. But I don't mind answering any questions. But it just, that's a devastating thing that happens when you're working side by side with somebody for, what was it, 8 years. You build a relationship, and then to have it snapped in the instant, which I still cannot, it boggles my mind still to this day, why they would act the way they do.
All right. Now, this is not me talking. This is the person. And I don't know if this is true because I wasn't there, but I have a souvenir from the Region 8 rap session. The exact session you were explicitly forbidden from attending by the establishment because you had the nerve to announce your candidacy. But the delegates went rogue. They snuck in your campaign materials, and the next day the room was covered in your materials in front of the NBA. What did it feel like to be locked out of the building by the bosses but smuggled in by the rank and file? Is that true?
Like a gangster, man. It's like a gangster. What you talking about, man? That's cool. Yeah, a little guerrilla marketing. We had to act fast. Once they did what they did, once the machine shut me down or did whatever it is you want to call it, the Kingsport crew came out hard and strong, man, and that's my folks, and I love them. And in my branch, 1096, lots of other branches and leaders and behind the scenes, because again, I'm not trying to be all negative or whatever, but the fact is out there, the threats of taking people away off of positions and all this stuff. You'll never work for NALC again. You'll never work for Region 8 again. You better take that button off, or all this kind of stuff. I've heard about. Now, again, I wasn't there, so, but yeah, it made me feel good. And like I said, we had to get in there guerrilla tactics, and in retrospect, from the way that Dan Everett, shout out, Branch 1999 president, he's the one that had to stand up in front of the committee, in front of the everybody in the rap session, and say, hey, what's going on? Where's Chris at? And the reason he had to do that is because they didn't put microphones out this day. Now we have microphones out for people to speak all the time, but for whatever reason we didn't have. Well, they ain't no for whatever reason. I think everybody kind of understands why there's no microphone out there, because they don't. Again, there's a reason why people don't go and visit offices. They don't go and visit branch meetings. They don't go and get on the workroom floor. They don't go and see their people, all their people, not just the select few, because they don't want to be held accountable. And that's kind of where we're at. But yeah, to answer all that, the feedback was fantastic, man. I was over here. I was sitting at the house, man. My phone would ring. I'm like, what's going on now? What's going on now? Man, I miss y'all. It was fantastic. The love and support that I had from people from all over the region during that period of time. And I kind of wish I could have been a fly on the wall to kind of see how everything was going down. But it made me feel good.
All right. You like wrestling, right?
Oh yeah, man. Well, I'm
right.
not now, but yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Check this out.
Macho Man.
Yeah, I submitted a question. Hopefully you don't care. What's that?
Who submitted a question? You said you did?
Yeah, I did this one here.
All right.
Who's your favorite wrestler, and why would Macho Man Randy Savage still be the Intercontinental Champion cream of the crop if he was in the ring with your favorite wrestler?
Look, homie, you can't mess with Stone Cold Steve Austin, bro. Hey, when you hear the glass break, that's your ass, right? That was Stone Cold Steve Austin, man. That's what I got, man. I was into that stuff big time for for really that whole Attitude Era, I think is what they call it now, the Attitude Era. And the WCW, I didn't really watch them so much, but when they turned to the NWO, and Hogan went over there, and you had Big Sexy Kevin Nash and Scott Hall and Big Papa Pump, man, I love that shit. I used to get all the matter of fact, I used to get all the pay-per-views and I'd record them. And well, sadly, I had the one where Owen Hart fell, so I've got that on a VHS tape somewhere. But yeah, man, I was big time into it. You kind of drift out of it after a while, or I did. But now I'm trying. I'm leaning back in it. I watch one every now and then, and I'm like, man, this ain't Stone Cold Steve Austin. What is this? Who are these people? But interestingly enough, there's a new guy. I don't know his name. Obaga. I can't remember. He kind of walks like the old bushwhackers, flinging his arms up. And but he was a track and field athlete from University of Alabama.
That's so Stone Cold Steve Austin, eh?
Oh, ain't no doubt. I'll put somebody in a stunner.
Can I ask a question, Macho Man? I'm sorry about that.
All right. I'll quit with the Macho Man stuff. All right, so I think I'm gonna make that the thumbnail. I'll put you as Stone Cold and me as Macho Man. All right, so
love it.
How do you feel about handicapped people being national officers, and are you against it?
Why is there really a push that says handicapped people can't be national officers?
I don't know the intent of these questions. All I do is ask them.
Yeah, I got you. Well, I would be all for a handicapped person being a national officer. I don't know why there would be any restriction, so I'm not aware of any. I don't know. I don't know why anybody would block a handicapped person from me.
I like it. Nice and concise. Are you friends with anyone else who's running for national office, and if so, who?
Well, friend is a relative term. I've learned through all this. I'm friends with lots of people. I don't have. There's very few people that I have issues with. I feel like I can get along with anybody. I mean, I'm friends with Mike. I'm friends with James. I'm friends with Corey. I'm friends with Dana. I'm trying to think of who I was running. I don't know who. Well, shit. Maybe that's all the people that I know. Now that I think about it, I was like, I don't really know the rest of the people, and I don't know all the slates and all of this stuff. And NALC hasn't announced their people, but I feel like I'm friends with. I mean, I still communicate with. I mean, it ain't like me and James or me and James Henry or me and Mike Cariff, communicate on a daily basis. But I've worked with James in the veterans booth for several conventions, and so really got to know him. And Mike, I really kind of know Mike through John Calloway. Really, he was in my leadership class. And I think he's a full-time advocate. Well, I don't know why I said think, but yeah, he's a full-time advocate now. So, and then being up there in Chicago, Mike took us to like Chinatown or something. And so, and then, of course, Corey, I still communicate with Corey pretty regularly. It's not some, let me say pretty regularly. Not so much when I was in the office. I still would reach out every few months or something, but since all this just happened, we've communicated a lot, and
all right,
had a tragedy in there. Well, I'll let them. Anyways, go ahead.
So this next question, we're halfway through now. We got about 11 more questions after this one. And I think I'll go about another 45 minutes. Hopefully, we get through them all.
I'll cut back my rhetoric, maybe.
Well, I'll go a little bit over if I need to, because that gives me 45 minutes to start work after that. But this one looks like I probably should have sent this to you because they're looking like they're asking a contractual question almost, but maybe they're leaning on the fact that you've been in the National Guard before. I'm a career USPS letter carrier and a member of the California Army National Guard. My office denied my request for military paid leave for my RSP drill weekends because they said I hadn't gone to basic training yet. Is there any USPS policy or ELM section that says a National Guard employee must complete basic training before being eligible for military paid leave?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Yeah, I probably should have sent that early just so we could have found that out for this gentleman. So we'll find out.
I had to research, but not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, I don't know of any either, but I'm not an expert whatsoever. All right. So how long did you know you were going to run for NBA?
Well, I think I talked about this in detail in that last podcast, but yeah, I definitely want to, say it again here. I would say the consideration probably happened a couple of years ago, and Jason and I, just casual talk. I mean, it's not like we got this plan. We're going to do this, and everything was in set stone. It was just, just conversation you would have with your buddy, like, hey, what's your plan? What are you thinking, and all this kind of stuff. And I think I told the story about, hey, eventually at some point he looked at me and was like, look, I don't want to do this, but it sounds like you do because you're the one that keeps saying this, that, and that. And, so that got me thinking more and more about it. And so I would say, that 2 years to 18 months. And then, I told Steve in May of last year. So I guess that's the answer.
What grade do you give Steve Lassen as NBA?
I think his first term, I'd give him a A minus on the first term. I think we did a lot of outstanding work. I think that whatever's happened, whatever's changed, whatever situation, you know, it would. I don't think he's a failure. So let me just say that. I don't think he's a failure. So I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, he's an F or whatever. And then I think he's a good person that and wants to do good things. And I think that whatever happened to him, whatever his situation is, he's falling back on the second term. So I wouldn't give him a failing grade, but I'd give it like one of those barely where they pushing you through to the next class because they don't want to see you in this class anymore grade. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A funny story. When I was in fifth grade, we had this dude that was in our grade, and this mug was 15 years old in the fifth grade. This dude, he ended up quitting like a few months into it because he turned 16. Go get a job and drive. And I'm like, how does this happen in real life? But yeah, it happens. Anyways,
what grade would you give Brian Renfro as a national president?
I would give him an A on political, legislative things, but pretty much everything else, I would. I don't even think I would give him a passing grade. I just think he's. I've tried to support. Well, I didn't try. I did. I supported him and tried. Well, I don't know why I keep trying. I guess I'm saying try because obviously shit didn't work out. But I supported him. I backed him. Hell, I was at his dad's, funeral, or not his funeral, but the wake or whatever, the viewing. And I was trying to be there for people, and he just is not. He just does not need to be in that seat. In my opinion, he needs to go and would be a fantastic legislative mastermind. So I think that's where his role is, and that's where he should be at. So all that to say, I give him a overall failing grade.
All right. If you knew you were going to run for NBA, why did you wait so long to announce?
Out of respect for Steve, I was trying to do the right thing. And again, if they all communicated, Brian would have known this when I was talking to Steve, because Steve would have talked to Brian. So it shouldn't have been a shock to anybody up there. But again, everything's secrets. But yeah, out of respect for Steve, I felt I owed that to him, and I'll try to be honest and upfront, and wait for him to make his decision so that we could then sit down, because I was going to run either way, whether or not he told me he was going to run or not. But I wanted us to talk and like grown-ups and adults and figure this out. It didn't work out.
Who announced first, you or Dana Chambliss?
Dana Chambliss.
Knowing that Dana had announced months prior, why did you not throw your support behind her instead of choosing to potentially split the vote, which might allow Steve to win?
Well, that sounds like a question from somebody that supports Dana. So that question really is, if you think about it, if you look on the other side, that's the exact same mindset that Brian had went towards me because I announced I was running. So to me, it's a democratic process, so anybody can run. So I would say all that, first of all. Second of all, what I would say is I feel like I'm a better person, better suited for the job, a better, better leader, better. I mean, but of course I would think that. That's not a negative towards Dana. That's for, what I think about myself. So I feel like I'm the right fit and the right leader for the next national business agent in Region 8. So
all right. If you had to vote today between Cariff, Renfro, or Henry, who would get your vote and why?
Well, I'm not openly supporting anybody. So this is
undecided.
This is a catch-22 situation. I will tell you this: undecided is the word. But as I've been involved more and more with these podcasts and hearing more about what other people have to say, I'm very impressed with a lot of different people from a lot of different slates or whatever you want to call them. And I think this is where national headquarters, national NALC, whatever, they're still trying to operate on this old mindset. I get why they want to have this ticket and they want to do all this because they want to show unity and blah, 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 and all that. I got it. But you're missing out on very valuable time right now to get out and to try to shoehorn your position to start trying. I assume they're going to start politicking, after. I don't know what the hell they're going to do, but it's disingenuous at this point because, to me, the ship has sailed already. You should already, this isn't just something that just happened, last week. This has really been a 4-year kind of movement. So, yeah, I don't know.
It makes sense. You started as a letter carrier in Tuscaloosa in 2001, became a steward in 2005, vice president in 2006, and branch president in 2007. What was the moment that made you go from I deliver the mail to I'm going to fight management? And also, why did it escalate so quickly?
So the main thing that got, so like a lot of people, when you come into the Postal Service, you're very naive and you think that all these people talking about management are here for you. I mean, if you have any kind of sort of work ethic, you're coming into the job, you're listening to what you're being told, and you want to do a good job. I mean, nobody shows up and is like, "Oh, I want to try to do the shittiest job I can do today, just enough to get by, so I can get my check." Nobody, has that attitude. So when you come in and you want to do this good job, I felt like I wanted to be a postmaster when I first got hired on. I also thought that it was a 20-year retirement when I first got hired on. Like every other branch of the government is, but no, here we just try to start firing you after 20 years. I think that was my original goal. And then once you're there at the post office for a little while, again, there's this what's called a BPI team. I don't remember what it stood for, but they came in and they were just it was a group of postal managers that came in just to try to knock people out, just try to steal routes, steal time, and all the nonsense that the Postal Service tries to do to people, or to the letter carriers, really. And I got pulled in the back and chastised for going too slow in front of it, and accused by the station manager of doing it on purpose to make them look bad, and all this kind of stuff. And that's when everything kind of opened for me. And I went into, so I started going to union meetings, and yeah, so then Brantley, our vice president, resigned. So Brantley Cochran, like, I come from a small branch too, so this has a lot to do with it too. I think we only have about 160 members, 140, 160, somewhere around there. So it's not like a large branch where this would be commonplace, where people just kind of dipping in and out of at the branch level. But anyways, vice president resigned, so she put me in there, and then at that next state convention, she was ready to step down, and so that's kind of how all that progressed so quickly.
All right. Let's see. I got 3 more, so we're doing pretty good. You were branch 1096 president until you became Region 8 RAA. What did being a branch president teach you that no other experience could ever teach you?
What did being a branch president teach me?
Yeah, that that no other experience could teach you, like being a steward, or being any other branch officer, or potentially an RAA.
Okay, I follow the question. All right, so this is where I think I would say that I kind of developed how to bring people together. I'm a little raw, as every people that know me, and some of the people that are getting to know me on these podcasts. So, and I also feel like I'm very relatable to everyone, most everyone, and bringing this community atmosphere, bringing people together, I think is something that I really kind of learned a lot from being the branch president. I think I talked about on the previous podcast about the softball teams, and then the Carriers versus Clerks softball group that we did. I talked about the belts that I did for some other places, and I think all that stuff led me to see that that's another one of the strengths that I have, is bringing people together. And I'll give you another perfect example is over at the region office. Once after COVID hit, and we would bring people back, it's not back, but we started bringing people back into the office. There's this chicken joint, shout out Champies. There's this chicken joint in or Madison, Alabama. It's right beside each other, and they have what's called team trivia on Wednesday nights. So I don't know if you've ever played that or anybody's familiar with it, but essentially you got groups of people, and it's a trivia game. It has different sections and different questions and different topics and all that kind of stuff. So it's just it only lasts like an hour. It's a wonderful event. It's fun. You don't have to be some kind of, Einstein to play or whatever. And again, you're with your group of team, or you're with a group of people. So when people come to work at the region office, I always invite them to go to Champies. And I feel like that's a great way to bond outside of work. It's a great way to learn about people. It's a great way to learn how people come up. And it's a great way to learn how to relate to people. And that's one of the things that I really enjoyed the most, is because you get to talk to people on a regular level, not just about grievances and how they're being treated, and all the negativity that goes on with dealing with postal management. And this even went on so the new education thing that's out now, the NALCU. So they were coming to our office once a month to work on that, because we've got several carriers from Region 8 on there. Shout out Jason Ashley, shout out Kate Drass, and shout out Jennifer Knopf. So they're all involved in that out of the grade 8 of Region 8. And so they came there once a month to kind of work on that. And we would go and I invited them. And so we would go up there, and I really got to know Doug a lot more, and um, Josh, I think his last name is Leaking. And, it's just a great way to kind of get to know people. And then some other people would come in to, I don't remember everybody's name, so I apologize, but they would come in and we would go. And I think it's a great bond experience. So that long rambling answer that I gave, I think being in the as the president helped me understand the importance of that and how to really get to know people. And it also provides a way on how to communicate with people, because everybody communicate receives differently. And you could say one word. It's like the old game you would play where you whisper something to somebody's ear and they turn around and whisper, and you go all the way through the class and you get to the end, and they say what they were told, and then the original one would say what they were told, so that goes back to that whole communication thing, and learning how to communicate with people and to make sure that everyone's on the same page. So that would be my.
Hey, you know how you said you had that softball thing?
Yeah.
Well, we over here at this station, I don't know why I don't like sports, so I can't really get into it. But um, the guys here, they always liked baseball, and they did installation versus installation baseball games. And when I got here, I noticed we didn't have anything that would recognize the stewards, and the stewards were fans of baseball too. And I wanted to get the president to do like steward recognition. But what I did while I waited for all that is I made these baseball cards for the stewards of the past. Yeah, isn't that pretty cool?
That's badass. Because see, I'm a sports card collector, so that is badass. Because that's cool.
I had them sign them too. At least one of the copies. Yeah.
Sorry, I got cataracts in both eyes, whatever. So I can't see too good. Hold that thing up again.
Let's see. This is Dory Bingham. She's
I look like a retard with it. Oh man, that's awesome.
Yeah, and Joe Fayed, yeah, he's a good one too. You can't see it too good, but
yeah, no.
Yeah, and I have him in a case in the office, but it's on the wall. So, but
I love that. Great going, man. Great going.
Now, two more. The postal record said you taught, and these two seem kind of similar. The postal record said you taught Region 8 classes or Article 8 on Article 8 technology, grievance procedure, discipline, and LMOU negotiations. Which subject got the carriers most excited to learn about it? And what do you think that branches need to learn most desperately lately?
I would say that I got the most. I got more positive feedback from really shop steward duties, roles, and responsibilities. That really kind of most people really enjoyed that, and I got a lot more feedback. With Article 8, most people's minds are blown, and because that ain't the way I did it in my office. If I had a nickel for every time I heard that, especially that dumbass letter carrier paragraph, and so I would say there was that kind of feedback for that kind of stuff. But what I think is most people really need to. Too many people are afraid of the LMOU. And the LMOU is where, and I learned this from Lou, and really I didn't learn it till I got into the region office, to be quite honest with you, because he did some national training and we went and did that. It was fantastic. But I would say that a good, fair percentage of disputes that happen locally could be resolved in your LMOU. And there's this mindset that people are so scared to open it. And then there's also this mindset of that's a lot of work, because it is a tremendous amount of work to do an LMOU properly and negotiate it properly. So I highly suggest every branch get some real training on how LMOU, the operation of it works, and they can get a lot of things resolved there locally in their LMOU that could help deal with a lot of the issues. Just something simple as, where do you leave your live slip? We get caught, I put in my leave slip when I get back in the afternoon, but the PM supervisor says they don't want to take it. So you have to give it to the AM supervisor and this and that. All these games of who gets the leave slip? Where do I leave my leave slip? Do I just put it on the desk? Do we have a designated place? Just something like that. And of course your leave percentage. I mean, people coming in on their off days, what to do with the T6. Does the T6 move? You can negotiate hold downs for how the hold down process goes. I mean, it's wide open, and there's so many things in there that can really helps management as well, because now you have a clear defined rule instead of everybody just playing fast and loose. Because a lot of people like to say, well, past practice this, but then when you dig in, well, it's past practice while they were president, but the president before did it a different way. And the president before them did it a different way. So that's not necessarily a past practice issue. So I would say that's something that really needs to be fully developed and understood when the next national agreement happens.
Yeah, my branch had an interesting LMOU. We had the NSA probably since the 70s or 80s, but Roseville in particular, which is the station I work at, we never liked it. So it took us all the way to 2011 to get it for us. And by then we perfected the language on it that my remedy was always really cool because of the language we had. You basically get called based on seniority, based on your color, not this weird stuff that they got going on now. And if you get skipped, you get paid. So, and our OWAs were able to use it, and it helped management be able to cover schedules. So that makes a lot of sense, you know?
Yeah, I like that. And that's one thing that I enjoy because I was doing LMOUs was one of the primary. I mean, when it came up, it wasn't like I did it, year round, but when it was time to do it, that was I handled it for our office. And reading the different LMOUs from around the region, it's very interesting. And there's a lot of people that a lot of cool stuff that I was like, wow, I want to put that in mine and this and that. And then there's a lot of people that I just kind of cringe at that. Why would you agree to that? What are you doing? But,
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Your LinkedIn tagline is teacher, negotiator, advocate, student. Which of these four does Region 8 need most from its next NBA?
My LinkedIn. Oh, my LinkedIn. Oh, snap. I have not changed that. I only opened that account because when I was finishing up my college degree. So what does it say again?
Your tagline says teacher, negotiator, advocate, and student.
Okay.
Which of these four does Region 8 need most from its next NBA?
Well, it's got a leader. That's the number one thing. It's you have to have somebody that's going to lead. You can have the education, you can have this, you can have that, you can have the knowledge, but if you don't have the ability um, to give that knowledge out, to share that knowledge, to provide an opportunity for people to expand and grow with that knowledge, then you haven't really done anything. So got yourself smarter. So I think leadership would be the way to go, and that's what we really need right there. Because with true strong leadership comes open, honest communication, and I could ramble on for another 20 minutes on that, but leadership.
Give me a hell yeah! What?
All right.
That's your ass.
Yeah, so we're at the final question. Any good investigative interview has to be objective. So the one question anybody needs to ask in an objective interview would be, is there anything else that you would like to add?
I just want to say thanks for this opportunity. But yeah, I would just say that I feel like I'm the right candidate for this position. I have the leadership qualities. I have the experience. I have the education. I know the inner workings. I've dealt with the labor all the way up. I've dealt with the NALC all the way up. I've dealt with LR services all the way up. And there's a lot more to this position than, a title. And I think that's lost on, some of the incumbents, and it's more about keeping that seat. So, I think I said it on the last one, the last podcast. I'll say it again on here. And you have to continue to work hard. You have to continue to learn. It's not just, hey, I'm patting myself on the shoulder, look what I learned. It's an ongoing process. And so if you're happy with the way things are, then I'm not your guy. But if you want change and you want somebody that's going to come in and represent everyone to the fullest extent, not a select few, not take rivalries and punish people and hold them back, then I'm your guy. I'm your choice. So I strongly urge everyone that's a city letter carrier in Region 8, which is Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, and Louisiana, to vote and support for Chris Strickland for your next Region 8 National Business Agent.
All right. It was good having you on, and I'll forgive you about having Stone Cold being your favorite. I know David Mudd at least has a better. I like. He said he likes the Ultimate Warrior, but
Warrior says children. Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, that's what Dave Mudd said. When I told him I like Macho Man, he said, "Oh, he's a fan of Ultimate Warrior." But you know what? Around that era, I think I'm more of an Undertaker fan. But Stone Cold was cool, though.
Man, I just couldn't get enough of that stuff, man. Him driving in there in a 4-wheeler, jumping up there with the cold beers, and just, I tell you what, I dressed up like him at a Halloween costume a couple years ago. I bought one of those black leather a black leather vest, and got this patch and sewed this patch on there. It said like "bad MFer," and all this. So it's fun.
Well, it was good having you on, man.
Yeah, it's great meeting you. And hey, congratulations on this podcast and all that stuff, man. And you've come a long way. We were talking the other day, and you've only been here, what, 3-4 years?
Yeah, I got hired in technically 21. It was like December, Christmas Eve. So, I kind of say 22.
I got you. Well, congratulations. Doing a good job, so keep it up.
If these guys are getting educated, we will be in big trouble.
Management's been weighing you down like a bag of wet catalogs, but you don't gotta take it. You strap on the elbow of education, dig it?
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Roseville Wrecking Ball. The Roseville Wrecking Ball.
The Roseville Wrecking Ball is an Article 8 scholar, and thank God, we need Article 8 scholars right now. The grievance genius, the Roseville Wrecking Ball, doing amazing work.
Tune into the Parcels of Knowledge podcast while you're on the route. That's the mailman's playbook, brother.